Hello, everybody. This is Catholic Dad, episode number 252, How an Economy Grows and Why It Crashes. This is a book by a great man named Peter Schiff. He's a great economist, Austrian school. He has a business called Euro-Pacific Capital, or National Capital, Euro-Pacific Capital. And he's a great Austrian economist, and he's really fun to listen to. He has a great podcast. If you ever want to check it out, look at it. His father, incidentally, was a great man as well, named Ira Schiff. He was a man that died in a federal prison because he was trying to convince everybody that the income tax, the 16th Amendment, was against the Constitution. And that essentially when you signed your income tax return, you were violating the Fifth Amendment for your right to remain silent and your right not to testify against yourself. I think it's probably a good argument. I think Ira Schiff probably had something he was onto. But nonetheless, the book is great. It's a kind of, it sounds really complex, but it's not. It's simple. In the last video, I was talking about everybody should talk economics with their kids. So if you're an adult with an IQ over 80, buy the book. It's a short little paperback. It's kind of a comic book, and it's a fun fairy tale. The basis of the story goes like this. There's three men on an island, and there's only three men on the island, and there's nobody else. And that their entire lives they spend fishing because every day it takes the entire day's labor to catch one fish. It takes one fish to sustain a man for a day. Therefore, the entire life of these three men are spent fishing. And they're fishing and fishing and fishing all day long, and they can only catch one fish, and one fish is what they need to sustain themselves. Until one of the three people get a brighter idea, and so he takes a day off from fishing, knowing he's not going to eat, and he invents a tool. That tool is a net. It's a fishing net. And so what this guy does is he makes it so he could catch two fish a day. And so now he no longer needs to fish every single day of his life, and he has a free day, or he will have an excess of fish on hand. And so this is how the economy grows. And so the fish are actually the monetary supply of the island, and there's an assumption they make in the beginning of the book that fish don't degrade or decay. And so these are essentially like gold bars. And so this guy starts like hoarding fish, and the other two are just slugging it out all day long, catching one fish per day per person. And this guy has a big excess of fish. And so they say to him, well, it's not fair. Why do you have to, you don't have to fish every day. Well, what you have all the fish, give some to us. And he said, well, I'll give some to you, but I'll give some to you if you actually go out and make a better way. I'll actually loan you some, and you'll have to pay me back in more fish in the future. And so it starts creating the entire banking system. It's about how all growth, right? All industrial growth and all growth of an economy starts with deferred savings, right? The guy had to take a day off. He actually had to not eat for an entire day. Self-sacrifice and actually invention and to increase the efficiency of the island. And he did that. He doubled the efficiency of not quite doubled the efficiency. He made the efficiency of the island increase by 33% with 1 day of work creating a net. And so from that 33%, the island grows and it grows and grows, and they grow this actually huge economy where there's these world-class fishing boats that like literally are catching tons and tons and tons of fish. And it starts to create this international economy where people from other islands come and they start bartering with the guy. Well, it's kind of fun because the book is funny because they start they have this honest economy where it's a fishing economy, and then they start expanding it through savings and productivity and investment. And eventually the central bankers get their hands on it. And there's some comic book names like Alan Greenfish, for Alan Greenspan, and Ben Barnacle for Ben Bernanke. And these people start manipulating what the value of a fish is. That's called centralized banking. And eventually the value of fish becomes nothing, and, they have massive runaway inflation. It's a really good story. It's a good tale. It's a comic book. It's a fun read. And I think everybody should read it. I just thought about it. I'm going to reread it myself. I haven't read it in a bunch of years. I make all my kids read it once they get to the age of majority, in terms of like 13, 14, maybe even 12, because they can handle that kind of information, and it's fun to read. It's easy to read. There's nothing too complex in it, but it does teach you about what a market economy, how it operates, why deferred saving or deferred gratification is so important, why savings and investment and increasing efficiency is so important to a market economy, and how monkeying around with monetary supply and regulation can actually hinder the efficiency of a market system. Well, anyway, this is Catholic Dad making you think about it. Please like or subscribe, get the Mass, and pray the Daily Rosary. And oh, by the way, do order that book. It's really great. How an Economy Grows and Why It Crashes by a great man named Peter Schiff. I think his brother, Andrew Schiff, wrote some of the book as well. And his father, Ira Schiff, was the great inspiration because This guy was a really smart man, and they used to take family vacations. And he actually pushed his kids to think about the island economy on these long trips in the car. And so, they didn't sit there playing video games. What they did was they played mental games with the possibility of savings, investments, growth opportunities, and so on and so forth. So anyway, get the Mass, pray the daily rosary, and God bless you all. Take care.